Hello everybody, welcome back, and in today's video we'll be going over another very instructive game I found. And this game is between Joel Benjamin and Rosendo Balinas, and let's get right into it. So white started off the game with d4, d6, knight f3, bishop g4, c4, knight d7, d5, bishop takes f3, e takes f3. So right off the bat, white gets two bishops advantage, but black gains a structural advantage because of these double pawns he just inflicted on white's position. And here, black commits his first error, e6. So why is this an error? This is an error because it opens up the center for white's bishops. And it's not what you want to do when you're playing against two bishops, because the bishops gain big mobility when you open up the center. And when you play against them, you generally want to restrict them. That means closing the position. So instead, I believe g6, bishop d3, bishop g7 was the correct way to develop this bishop. And after castles, knight gf6, black has a normal game. So on e6, white does a very logical thing and takes, because it opens up the center. After f takes e6, white takes advantage of the fact that this pawn is gone with g3, intending to put this bishop on the long diagonal where it can really show its power. And when you put the bishop on the long diagonal like that, it's called fianchettoing the bishop. So queen f6, black's intention is to castle queenside like this. But that's very dangerous because it's going to be right where white's going to place his bishop. So you might ask, why can't he castle kingside with something like knight gf6? Problem is, after bishop h3, this e6 pawn is going to be under a lot of pressure. Because after like queen e7, castles g6, and rook e1, you can already see that this pawn is under some serious pressure. So queen f6, knight c3, castles, bishop g2, placing the bishop along the diagonal or fianchettoing the bishop, king b8, castles, knight e7, and f4, logical move, now opening up the diagonal for the bishop. Knight f5, knight to e4, attacking the queen, queen g6, and a4. So white's idea is to roll this a pawn down to a6, which weakens the light squares around black's king, which is the same color as the bishop, which is good. Bishop to e7, a5. Now black prevents white's plan with a6. Problem is b4, taking advantage of the fact that this a pawn acts like a hook after b5, which opens up a lot of lines against black's king. So d5, c takes d5, e takes d5, queen takes d5, white's a pawn up now. Knight to c5, queen a2, creating the queen because the queen is under attack by this d8 rook. Knight to d3, b5, exclam, sacrificing the pawn and gaining a very serious attack after a takes b5, a6. And after knight b4, white played queen b1. Now instead of knight b4, if black tries queen takes a6, problem is queen takes a6, b takes a6, rook takes a6, white's attack is still pretty serious because he has ideas like bishop d2, bring the rook to the a file, especially with paired up with this bishop. It's gonna be quite unpleasant for black to defend this, even without queens. So knight b4, queen to b1, b takes a6, bishop a3, attacking the knight, rook to d4. Now here's an excellent move, knight c3, clearing the way of the bishop. After c5, very nice combination here, knight takes b5. After a takes b5, kind of opens up this file where it can be paired up with this bishop. Bishop takes b4, rook takes b4. White played queen to d1. Instead, queen takes b4, c takes b4, rook fc1 wins the game immediately for white because he's threatening rook to a8 checkmate because black's king is completely sandwiched between all three of white's pieces. And surprisingly, there's nothing much black can really do. The only move is like queen to c6, but this just gives back the queen. and white's going to be completely better when he captures it. So on queen to d1, rook to d8, queen f3. This is the idea, pairing with this bishop along this long diagonal, creating nasty threats like queen to b7. Queen b6 defends that, but on queen to a8 check, king c7, rook a7, queen takes a7, queen takes a7 completely wins the game for white. Instead of queen takes a7 here, if black tries king to d6, the problem is queen d5 is checkmate. So I hope this helps you in your future games, because it does show how a strong bishop on an open diagonal can completely change the course of the game and exert its influence over the entire board. Thanks for watching. See you next time.